trimming is something I do using leather hard pieces, and I tap center. So tap centering takes some practice. And what I'm doing is I'm surrounding the clay with my hands like this. Let's switch to the side view, Curt.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna kind of rotate over so that you guys can see what's happening. So the clay is shifting, right? And I'm gonna only use my left hand to tap. I'm looking at the space between my left hand and the clay as it's coming closer to me. And as it's coming close, I'm gonna tap that clay or tap the pot towards my right hand.
By the way, I still can't do this.
My right hand is there. I'm gonna have you do it in a second. So that my right hand is there so that if it flies off, right, I can catch it and stop the wheel. But we don't want to spin the wheel so fast that we can't manage it. So look at how slow the wheel's moving. It's kind of like this nice rhythmic motion around and around. So I can, almost like a turntable, right? You see it moving around and around. So that way you can see where it's off center. And when it's off center, I'm going to tap in a rhythmic way until your clay is perfectly centered. All right, again, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to tap here, here, here.
Oh.
Right, I've done this a couple thousand times. I know how to do it. I kind of get the sense. For you, you're going to have to practice. Don't do this. Okay, we're not playing hockey or ping pong, right? Just use one hand.
You're such a teacher.
I know. Use one hand and tap it into the center. All right? Now, grab some extra clay, make little lugs, and push them down. Another way to do this is to wet the surface, wet the rim, tap center, and because I have a level rim and a flat surface, I can actually suction cup this mug body to the wheel head. All right, so now it's not coming off because what I've done is I pushed this foot down and it trapped some air in there and it suction cupped it to the wheel head. And it also is wet, so that helps suction it as well. I use a little trimming spinner. This is from Diamond Core Tools, but you could use the top of a Gatorade bottle. This one's really nice because it has all these lines that can help you with decoration. And then I also use a sharp tool. I use Dolan Tools. I love that company, but you can use whatever you have on hand. Trimming. You place the trimming spinner on top so that you can evenly press down, because notice I don't have any lugs of clay here. If you're a beginner, I do recommend putting the lugs of clay, but I'm showing you both ways. And then again, my left hand is pushing down and my right hand is holding the tool, and I'm putting my left hand on the tool whenever I can. And I'm going to trim the outside first, and you know that it's leather hard when the strips of clay come off like that, and it's also a sharp tool. I'm trimming the outside first, so what I'm going to do is just refine the shape that I already have. I shouldn't have to trim off too much because I trimmed that off in the throwing stages. So I'm just refining that shape using the flat side of my trimming tool.
Someone asked, why do you use the plastic bat, not the wheel head?
You could use the wheel head. I just didn't want my bat pins in the way. So I'm using bat system, so I'm always going to have
I've tried to trim with the wheel pins in on the wheel head, and it's really bad idea.
Yeah, Curt has tried it. You're inevitably going to hit your hand against the bat pins, and so that's why I use the plastic bat. I actually use, Diamond Core has a surface, it's a silicone mat, and it's called the Plastibat. Sorry, not Plastibat, it's called the
Sticky bat.
Sticky bat, that's it. That's one of those bat systems.
And someone also asked, does the suction only work with plastic bat?
It works on the metal. It's fine on the metal.
It's just hard on masonite.
Harder on masonite because the masonite pulls the moisture out of the surface that you just added. So So once I have the outside trimmed and this little kind of angle trimmed, I'm gonna transition up to the foot, and I'm using my trimming spinner to push down, but that's the part that I need to trim. So this is where it gets a little tricky if you're using that system. But if you have them anchored, if you have those little balls of clay that are anchored, which I'll show you how to do that. Grab a piece of clay, right? Make it into a coil, and you're gonna get 3 lugs of clay. 1, 2, 3, and you're making a equilateral triangle, right? And you're placing them right there on the rim, and you're putting your left palm against the top, and you're pushing down, and then your right thumb makes little marks on those lugs of clay. And what you don't want to do is push too hard against the rim and make it move. All right, so now it's centered. It's slightly anchored down at the bottom, but still this clay could fly off. So I'm going to show you whether you use lugs or not. This is what you should do. Place your left finger on top of the pot or on the bottom of it. Rest your forearm on the tray or into your belly. And then use the trimming tool I was holding like I was cutting with a knife. Now I'm going to switch to like I'm holding it with, like I'm drawing with a pencil. And then I'm going to use this small little loop tool, the loop part of it. And again, my left hand is touching the tool. And I'm going to first make a mark where I want my foot to remain. So I'm not trimming my foot area around this area here. What I'm trimming is just 1/4 of an inch inside of that. And then once I have that mark set and I've trimmed it about maybe 1/8, maybe 1/4 of an inch deep, I'm gonna start from the center and move out to that line. And I'm pushing down also with my left finger against the foot now. And I'm waiting for the clay. I'm slowly moving the wheel. So this is probably about like a medium slow speed. And now I've removed clay at almost the same depth all the way across. And now I'm going to use the flat side of this trimming tool to remove all those little trimming lines. Now it's kind of like more like pencil shavings. You can't see the top, huh?
Oh yeah, you can.
Oh yeah, you can. Okay, good. So I have a lower area here, similar to what I did with my push foot. I push this area lower. Instead of pushing it, I removed clay. That's called trimming. And then I left a foot for the mug to sit. The last thing I'm going to do is if you're using a groggy clay, I wouldn't recommend this part, but I take a sponge and run it over everything, and then that just kind of smooths out all those trimming lines and just makes it really nice and smooth. You could still do that with groggy clay and then use a finishing rib and go back over and push all those little grog bits back into the clay. So something like that, that's a little extra. All right, there we have it. So we have a nice form, we have a trimmed foot, and we have a lot of surface that we can develop later with glaze. We can develop ideas, we could do texture, and then for our second part, the intermediate, we're going to talk about adding handles to these forms. Also, we're going to be talking about handles for pitchers and talking about vases for our second part. So that actually transitions really nice. Ooh. All right.